Today's biggest story is OpenAI's presence, and the key detail is not just that it exists, it is how it is being sold. OpenAI says Presence is available for voice and chat agents in a limited general availability program for eligible enterprise customers, and it is not self-serve. That means this is not a tool you simply click into and start experimenting with on your own. It is a managed rollout, with access limited to certain customers. That may sound like a narrow product update, but it points to a much bigger shift in how AI is being packaged. For a while, many people thought about AI as a model, or a chat box, or a clever prompt. The user opens it, types something, gets an answer, and maybe builds a little workflow around it. Presence points in a different direction. It suggests that the next wave of AI agents may be sold less, like toys for individual experimentation, and more like production systems, with policies, simulations, guardrails, and approved actions built in. Let's unpack that. An AI agent, in plain English, is software that can do more than generate text. It can carry out steps on behalf of a user or a team. That might mean routing a support request, collecting intake details, helping with admin tasks, or following a process that has some rules attached to it. In other words, it is trying to behave more like a workflow than a chat window. The important change here is that OpenAI is not presenting this as a simple self-serve download. It is positioning it as a managed service for enterprise customers. That matters because it changes the buying question. The question is no longer just, is the model impressive? It becomes, can I control what it does? Who can use it? What data it touches? How it fails? And how much setup help I get? For creators and small businesses, that is a very practical shift. Many teams want automation, but they do not want a black box that makes decisions with no oversight. They want something that can help with repetitive work while still fitting their process. They want guardrails. They want logs. They want clear handoffs when the system is unsure. And they want to know whether they can actually deploy it without hiring a whole internal AI team. That is why this story matters now. It fits a broader pattern across the week. AI vendors are increasingly selling not just capability, but implementation. The tool is no longer just the model. It is the model, plus the rules, plus the rollout, plus the support. OpenAI's announcement gives us a few confirmed facts and a few open questions. Confirmed, Presence is for voice and chat agents. Confirmed, it is in a limited general availability program. Confirmed, access is for eligible enterprise customers, and it is not self-serve. Confirmed, the product is framed around policies, simulations, guardrails, and approved actions. What is not known from the supplied material is just as important. We do not know the pricing. We do not know how broad the rollout will be. We do not know which kinds of businesses will be deemed eligible. We do not know how much configuration a customer will need to do after approval. And we do not know how well it handles the edge cases that matter in real work. That uncertainty is exactly why buyers should be careful. If you are a creator, think about one repeat job you do every week. Maybe it is handling routine audience questions. Maybe it is first-pass lead intake. Maybe it is turning messy notes into a publishable draft. Maybe it is organizing sponsorship inquiries, client messages, or customer support responses. Now imagine an agent that can help with that work. The promise is appealing: fewer repetitive steps, quicker responses, and less time spent on low-value admin. But the practical questions are the real ones. What actions can it take without approval? Can it read from and write to your systems? Can you review every step it took? If it makes a mistake, how does the process recover? And if you leave later, can you take your data and logs with you? That last question matters more than people think. A lot of AI adoption is won or lost on control. If a tool saves time but traps your data, makes auditing hard, or turns every change into a vendor request, the hidden cost can outweigh the convenience. Here's a simple way to evaluate a product like this. Pick one workflow that already happens every week. Keep it narrow. Do not start with your most complex process. Then compare 3 options: a closed tool, an open or self-hostable tool, and a managed setup if one is available. Measure 3 things: time saved, correction rate, and how much control you keep over the data. That means you are not asking whether the AI is clever. You are asking whether it helps you finish the job. For example, suppose you run a small creative business and you spend time each day sorting incoming requests. A managed agent could potentially gather the basic details, route obvious cases, and flag the ones that need a human. That sounds useful, but you would want the system to be very clear about what it is allowed to do. Maybe it can collect information. Maybe it can suggest a reply. Maybe it can create a draft. But maybe it should not send anything final, without review. That difference is the line between help and risk. The risk is not only bad output, it is also bad process. An agent can create the illusion that work has been handled when, in fact, it has only been partially handled or handled in the wrong way. So human review is not optional in the early stage. It is part of the design. Here are the checks I would want before using a managed agent in a real business workflow. First, check the allowed actions. Know exactly what the agent can do on its own and what requires approval. Second, check the handoff. When the system is uncertain, where does the task go and who sees it? Third, check the logs. If something goes wrong, can you see what happened? Fourth, check the data path. What information is stored, where it lives, and whether you can export it. Fifth, check the failure mode. If the agent misses a step or misclassifies a request, how quickly can a human catch it? And sixth, check the setup burden. If the product needs a lot of specialized tuning, that is part of the cost. That leads to the clearest verdict for the story. Test carefully. I would not treat this as a reason to rush into a new AI platform, just because the category sounds advanced. But I also would not dismiss it. Presence is a useful signal. It shows that the market is moving toward AI as a managed workflow, not just a prompt box. For teams that want automation with boundaries, that could be exactly the direction they need. For now, the smartest move is to stay practical. Run a 1-week pilot on one task. Log 2 numbers every day: minutes saved per task and the number of edits needed before you can publish or send the output. If the system saves time but creates too much cleanup, the value may not be there. If it saves time and stays controllable, then you have something real. What should you watch next? Watch whether more vendors copy this packaging and sell AI with setup help, policies, reporting, and human oversight built in. Watch whether buyers start demanding proof of time, saved instead of polished demos. And watch whether the ability to control deployment becomes as important as the model itself. That is the real story here. The market is moving from, can this AI answer my question? To, can this AI fit my workflow without taking control away from me? For creators and small businesses, that is the question worth asking first.